Most people splice wires wrong, and this is why problem starts. Good connections also starts with your electrical outlets. When it comes to installing receptacles, your screws, your wires should be clockwise instead of counterclockwise, as you can see from the receptacles. Also, when it comes to junction boxes, we should have extension boxes. Proper splicing also comes in the terms of when you're doing heavy equipment. Always remember when you're splicing your cables to use the proper tools. If it includes a ratchet, if it includes a knife to cut your cables accordingly. Also look out for nicks and so on. You don't want to have any nicks on your wires. It will affect the way that the system will work. Nicks means any nick on your wires mean that it's going to touch the box, and once power is livened up, it becomes an issue. So splicing wires and so on comes in the terms of many different situations, not just receptacles and so on. In today's video, I'm going to show you the proper way I go about splicing my wires, how I go about making my connections, how I go about using my proper morettes and so on. As you can see, I'm going to be installing a box here, and I'm going to be splicing my cables accordingly. When it comes to splicing heavy gauge wire, you also want to make sure that you use the proper tools that's going to align with your hands and so on. You don't want anything that is going to give you issues when you're cutting, dealing with the risk and so on. It's very important. So splicing cables, you also have to remember that you have to take the time to splice your cables accordingly. You have to take the time to cut your cables accordingly. You have to take the time to also use the proper tools in order to get the job done. So this is how I normally make connections. As you can see my wires here, I strip enough wire. This is the correct way to strip wire. And again, when you're stripping wire, you also have these gauges here. Will tell you exactly what to strip, what wire size you're using. Very important. So once you're done prepping, this is what I normally do. Some guys will make connections like this. To me, that's incorrect. Proper way to make connections. I line my wires up like that. I twist my wires. Same thing here. That's normally how we make connections. When it comes to splicing cables, always remember when you reach the panel to make sure that your cables are spliced correctly. Make sure there is no loose parts touching the metal. You want to avoid that. Reason why you don't want anything touching the metal, once you close up the panel cover and you turn on your power, it's going to arc. So you want to remember that it just doesn't start with boxes, it also starts at the panel. Avoid these unnecessary mistakes. Taking care of the wire, having the wire stripped accordingly to code. There is a code rule for that. Always remember that. There is a code rule when it comes to that. Again, welcome back to the channel. For all those who are tuned in to today's video, I'm Fabian from Fabian Electrical Services Inc. I'd like to thank you guys all for tuning in to today's video. Again, don't forget to like up the video. By you guys liking up the video, it helps push my video out to more people out there. And today what we have is simply splicing and taking care of the splicing. When you see it comes to the panel is the most important thing when it comes to splicing, prepping your cables, making sure everything is secure, making sure you have no nicks in the on your cables, as nicks can cause very serious damage when it comes to the electrical field, when it comes to your wires being nicked and touching the box itself. So splicing is something that is very key. Always make sure you pay attention to your wires. Make sure that once you're finished splicing your cables and so on, and you're ready to make connections, make sure there is nothing touching your box. You want to make sure that once you turn on your breaker, there is going to be no arcing going on inside of the panel. Very important when it comes to splicing cables. When it's all said and done, at the end of the day, the key to having a proper electrical system working is to make sure that your connections, your splicing, your morettes that you install and so on are all up to code. Yes, there is a code rule on all of this stuff. It is in the OESC 2024. When it comes to splicing cables, it tells you that you're supposed to have a certain of wire strip and also a certain amount of wire coming out of your boxes, which is I believe is 6 inches. And as you can see here, these are all finished jobs, and you can see the proper morettes and so on that are being used for the system to work correctly. Don't want to have any nicks coming back once I install my switches and so on. So it all starts with the job that you're doing, whether it be arc faults and so on. You have to have the proper connections, proper morettes being used, taking care of no nicks on the wire itself and so on. Once everything is livened up, you don't want to hear a bang once you turn on the panel and so on. As you can see, here is another perfect example of the morettes being used, 33s we call them. Also, next topic that I will be getting into will be the three-way switches and how they work and how we install them according to the OESC 2024. So again, don't forget to like up the video, and I will catch you guys on the next video.